Imperium's most silent say on the viewer's pylons assume this is about mirrors the Cadia's fall. Sacred it is not. A vast pylon pulses through the ash, warp tendrils coiling around its core as the sky bleeds eldritch light the great rift, opened by the 13th Black Crusade, now sealed by Mechanicus chains. Now salvation is a crypt sealed by Mechanicus chains. The Imperium's silence on the pylons mirrors the Emperor's omissions carved in sacred steel. The Mechanicus did not seal a rift, they caged a Leviathan. Why bury this truth? Because what writhes beneath Cadia is not chaos, but the architect. The galaxy bleeds not from heresy, but from a wound the Mechanicus knows will never heal. The Emperor's silence is not protection, it is surrender. Forged in the dark age of technology, the Pylons of Cadia drew schematics from stolen SDC fragments. The Mechanicus, custodians of lost knowledge, repurposed men of gold blueprints during the age of strife. Warp storms fractured human worlds, granting them secrecy to build. A forbidden text, unearthed after the Horus heresy, described an entity older than the Emperor. The Mechanicus believed containment was divine duty. They saw the pylons not as weapons, but as anchors for a prison field. Their machine god, they reasoned, could not safeguard the galaxy alone. The pylons hum with Xeno-Tech, yet their purpose defies imperial dogma, what was buried deep in Cadia's crust. A Leviathan that predates the Emperor's ascension. The Mechanicus knew the entity's name was too profane to speak. They called it the anchor. Its leash is the pylon grid. The Imperium calls this Xeno-Tech, the Mechanicus calls it salvation, but silence is their currency. Every bolt and conduit hides a truth, the trap is not for chaos. It is for the thing that wakes beneath the Emperor's silent war. The pylons do not repel heresy. They delay the end. The pylons do not shield, they do not hold. They are a calculus of entombment, written in the blood of extinct star gods. Warp-anchored algorithms loop like serpents, binding the entity's geometry to a lattice of pre-heretical code. Sigils etched by tech gods now lost to the void pulse in counter-rhythm, ensuring the prisoner's thoughts fracture before coalescing. The Mechanicus did not build these spires to defend Cadia. They built them to outsource a debt forged in the War of the Beast's Ash, when the Imperium's own demons nearly gutted its bones. Prospero's pyres, lit by the Emperor's own hand, exiled the Thousand Suns. Yet the pylon's true architect was never human. Their schematics borrow from a darker well, the same xeno-traps the Mechanicus deployed on hive worlds to starve rogue AIs into self-dissolution. A tactic, a gambit. The pylons siphon the galaxy's pain as fuel, their containment fields growing stronger as stars die and warp tides rise. The entity's name is erased from all records, but its hunger lingers in the static between frequencies. Every siege, every heresy, every warp-rift, these are mere tremors in the structure's design. The Mechanicus knew what the Imperium could not. Some prisons are built to last until the key arrives. Until the galaxy's collapse becomes the entity's invitation. The trap is not in the pylons. It is in the waiting, 214 words. The pylons hum with a soundless frequency, a vibration that seeps into bone. Adeptus Roman 3, Mechanicus agents in obsidian cloaks adjusted crystalline relays amid the stench of burnt plasma and rot. Their virus bombs didn't just kill the learned feeding data into the schematics that would birth the pylons. A tech adopt, her ocular lenses bleeding red, whispered, containment is not a cage. It is a dialogue, the pylons of Cadia are colder than void. Their alloys reek of something older than Mars itself, a metallic tang laced with ash of extinct stars. When Primaris Marines arrive post-drift, their breath clouds in the shadow of these monoliths. A chapter master grips his blade, feels the weapon tremble not from his hand, but from the pylon's pulse. The trap was set long before the Crusade. The Mechanicus knew the entity would hunger again. They buried the truth in treaty clauses, let the Imperium rot on its denial. A Primaris Marine pauses. His visor reflects the pylon's flickering glyphs. For a moment, he swears the symbols breathe. The Indomitus force marches on, but their boots crunch over ground that remembers. The pylons do not hold back chaos, they listen and the waiting has made the entity, larger. The Mechanicus alone guards the secret. Their agents, like ghosts in the machine, maintain the pylon's fragile hymn. The trap is not in the waiting. It is in the knowledge that waiting is all we can do. 256 words. The Mechanicus kneels to the Omnissiah's shadow. Their hymns of steel are not shields, they are shackles. A prison for the entity that masquerades as the Emperor, a delusion forged in the dark. The Mechanicus swore a covenant, their price, to chain the void's hunger beneath Cadia's bones. For 10,000 years they starved their own flesh to keep the dark at bay. The Imperium prays to chaos as if it were the final rot. But the realms of chaos are but a symptom. The true decay festers where the Mechanicus bleed. Their pylons did not stop the enemy, they buried it. A nameless thing that gnaws at time, a wound in the Emperor's absence. The Adeptus did not ask. They did not need to, their silence was answer enough. The galaxy withers not from war, but from a clockwork heart left to rust. The Imperium's hymns of war are a distraction, a lie by omission. The Emperor's silence is not sacrifice. It is complicity. The Mechanicus knew his gaze would never turn their way. So they built their prison in secret. Now the gears creak, the pylon's circuits dim. The entity beneath Cadia no longer dreams, it calculates. What if the Great Rift was not a catastrophe, but a warning? The Mechanicus' burden was never to save the Imperium. It was to delay the moment of reckoning. Every soul lost to chaos is a breath stolen from the real enemy. The cold truth is this: the Imperium's fall is not inevitable. It is engineered, slow, painful, precise. And when the pylons crack, the nameless thing will rise not as a god, not as a heretic, but as the final answer to a question the Emperor refused to ask. The pylons still pulse, their light dims, the great rift swallows Cadia's core. The 13th Crusade shattered the planet's crust, unleashing a wound the Mechanicus never intended to seal. Containment fields flicker, fractures spread. What was buried deep now presses against the walls of its cage. The Adeptus Mechanicus has locked every record in ciphered vaults. They call it a failure of xeno-engineering. They call it a glitch. The truth is older. The pylons were never meant to stop the entity. They were meant to guide it, to channel its hunger into the rift, where the Imperium's theologians whisper of a balance only the dead can maintain. But the math is breaking. The entity's weight bends the pylon's geometry. Its whisper seeps into every sensor, every data stream, every dream of those who tend the machines. The Imperium fights chaos on 1,000 fronts. Yet here on Cadia's bleeding husk, the real war is silent. The real war is entropy. The real war is the price of a trap that outlived its purpose. The pylons stand as monuments to a buried truth. Their sacred geometry seals not a demon, but the weight of what humanity refuses to unsee. The Adeptus Mechanicus knew the cost of their gift. Each glyph, etched in blood and starlight, is a chain. Faith hardens the walls, faith poisons the air. What the Imperium calls salvation is a wound sutured with future centuries. The pylons do not fight chaos. They defer it. A clockwork dirge ticking down the day the trap springs, and the thing within learns to speak in the language of shattered stars. Hubris built the prison, hubris will unlock it. Cadia's walls are not a shield. They are a question mark carved into eternity, and the answer is rust. The Mechanicus built the pylons to cage what the Imperium fears to name. Rust is not decay, it is a seal. The plague wars churn, Leviathan fleets gnash, the pariah nexus waits. What thrums beneath Cadia's bones when the trap springs? What ancient force will break free?